Welcome to my journey towards mastering Kiriko in Overwatch 2. I may not be the most experienced player out there, but I'm on a mission to get good, even if it means making a fool of myself along the way. In this series, I'll be sharing my gameplay highlights and bloopers as I climb the ranks and learn the ins and outs of each hero. It's gonna be a wild ride, so grab some popcorn and get ready for some laughs. So why don't we start this video off by asking why? Why Kiriko? Well, the simple answer is, I want to become a better tank player, and I felt like I was lacking support in a lot of my games. So rather than blame the support players for their lack of healing and then wonder why I'm stuck in gold, I wanted to find out firsthand what playing support is really like. And Kiriko sounded like one of the easier of the 8 to start with. So I forgot all about DPS Moira and set out on a mission to keep my team alive. I'm gonna be an excellent healer this time. At this point, I felt like I'd been dropped in the deep end. A large body of water containing lines of sight, engaging and disengaging, team management, communication. Genji. Someone take out the Genji! Flanking, positioning, and much more. No! My Susie was on cooldown. I quickly came to the conclusion that the support role was much more than just holding down one button and heal-botting your team through the match. And as you may imagine, I ended up making a lot of mistakes. No! I was too early on that. But I did have one advantage going for me. I would stream every one of my support games, which would give me some amazing live feedback. The viewers in my chat were quick to point out some of my errors, and even give me some tips and tricks to help me along the way. So I started writing down some of their feedback, and I even started catching myself before I made the errors. These tips and tricks really helped me improve my Kiriko game, so I wanted to share them here in case any of you guys are also trying to improve as Kiriko. One of my biggest issues as a tank coming into support was I wanted to be there in the action. The issue with this is that when you're a support player on the front line, you tend to get very quickly targeted, which leads us on to my first tip. Survival is top priority. Losing a support player in the early stages of a fight can have massive knock-on effects for the rest of the team. So don't get too focused on trying to save that one player if it means that you'll end up sacrificing yourself. Another mistake I made a lot in the beginning was staying on the low ground for far too long. Kiriko's passive gives you easy access to most high ground areas, which will offer you better lines of sight, easier disengagement, and a better overall view of the battle. So take a second to stop staring at your tank and have a quick look around to see if you can get a better view. These last two tips kind of cover all of the support heroes, so here are some Kiriko specific ones. My biggest issue with Kiriko's kit was her Suzu. This is one of the most powerful abilities currently in the game, and I found myself using it very prematurely in many different situations. The ability renders any allies within the radius completely invulnerable for almost a second, and cleanses any negative effects they may have. In the beginning, I used this way too much as just an extra way to heal people as they were taking damage. Whereas in reality, you want to hold on to this until you absolutely need to use it. I can't even count how many times I used it, and within the 13-second cooldown window, multiple allies would get hit with a negative effect and I'd be stuck with nothing to cleanse them. The Suzu can also counter almost any enemy ultimate if timed correctly, so take extra care when the enemies may have their ultimates. Speaking of which, I think that might be one of the most satisfying moments in Overwatch 2, denying an enemy ultimate with a perfectly timed Suzu. But other than learning when and when you shouldn't use the Suzu, there's nothing really complex to it. The rest is pretty self-explanatory and only takes a small amount of practice. But before we move on to her ultimates, I just wanted to give you a heads up: never teleport to a Genji who needs healing. I had to learn this the hard way, but it's not a good idea. You're not about to survive this. As for her ultimate, the only real mistake I kept doing was using it in the wrong situations. You want to focus on using it at the start of a fight to engage with, or as a quick buff to your team to help them survive an enemy ultimate. As for placement, just remember where the fight is actually going to be happening and try and have the area of effect there, rather than on the way to where the fight is going to happen. The last thing you want is to get a speed boost all the way up to where you're fighting and then have nothing when you get there. Of course, there's much more to Kiriko than just these tips, but for now I feel like I've made some decent progress in the support role, and I want to move back to tank for now to see if I can apply some of the things I've learned. Of course, if you have any Kiriko tips for me, please leave them down in the comments, because honestly, I had a great time playing Kiriko, and I could definitely see myself playing more of her in the future. If you do want to check out some of my other gameplay though, I'll leave 2 great videos linked here so you can check them out. Remember to subscribe with notifications on if you enjoy the content, and I will see you in the next episode.